We want to know about the guys on smaller contracts that are making some big contributions, one on offense, one on defense. Nate, get us rolling.
All right, I'll get you guys rolling. First guy is a young dude, and obviously young guys in the league, they haven't reached the full potential yet. So I'm going with JuJu SmithSchuster, the number one wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. At 22 years old, he's on a 4-year, $4.2 million deal. He has 2 years remaining on that contract. Here's his numbers from this year, which are way more impressive than what he's making. He led the Steelers with 111 catches. He also led the Steelers with 1,426 yards.
The AB was on the team.
AB,
Is that when I say talk about it?
That's when you say talk about it. Good job, Tip.
Yep.
But here's the thing. That's the reason why they were able to let AB walk, because a guy like this. I remember when the Minnesota Vikings said, hey, man, we traded Randy Moss because you are going to be our future number one. And I thought, that was the dumbest thing you ever said.
Don't talk about it.
Yeah, don't talk about that. But really, though, when it comes to JuJu SmithSchuster, they look at him and say, we traded AB because you are number one. He looks back at him and says, damn right, I am. And watch what I do next year. All right, so next, my defensive guy, I'm going to go with Jaylon Smith.
Okay.
You know, the half of the Wolves with Dallas, Leighton Van. I could have really went a 2-for-1 deal with the bargain backer brothers, but these guys just fly around. The way he goes sideline to sideline, nobody does it better. The fact that he can rush the passer, look at him hitting Eli right there, putting that thump on him. He can guard tight ends and running backs out the backfield. He's not afraid to hit. Usually the fast linebackers, they're finesse linebackers. Oh, not Jaylon. And on top of that, he's on a cheap deal. 4 years, $6.5 million contract. And you look at the linebackers. My guy's making $6.5 over 4 years, and these guys in the teens already. So I'm going with my man, and he had 202 tackles this past year. Absolute beast. So on his career, I'm sorry. So I'm going with my guy, Jaylon Smith.
It's a great pick, and I love this because these guys, we should appreciate value. We like to talk about the huge deals. I'm a value guy. I'm still buying DVDs at the checkout line. They sell the Jim Carrey 3-pack. I'll buy it, and I'm going to buy this guy. Nate, you want young guys?
Yeah.
Does anybody want a 1,000-yard rusher on the cheap? Because his name is Adrian Peterson. He just re-upped with the Redskins again. Guys, this is a base deal from my accountant to the right of the table here. $2.53 million.
This season.
This season for a 1,000-yard rusher. Guys, there's so many running backs out there who made more money than Adrian Peterson, who didn't have close to the production. Guys that we love, like Devontae and Shady, and guys who will have great years moving forward, they're not doing that. Look at Gurley, 14. Le'Veon, 13. Great players making great money. Adrian Peterson, roll out of bed for 1,000 yards at $2.53 million. That is value, and the Redskins jumped on it. Let's go to my defensive player, because as we know, being safety pays this offseason. If you are a safety, they'll give you a ton of money.
Yeah.
Landon Collins, Tyrann Mathieu, Earl Thomas. How about HaHa Clinton-Dix? HaHa Clinton-Dix is a guy who's now on the Bears. 1-year deal for peanuts compared to what those guys are making.
3.5.
$3.5 million?
And he turned down 4.5 elsewhere, I believe.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And I think Greg Rosenthal nailed on NFL.com. He had come out about a year ago, would have been a huge money deal. Now he's got to prove it. He goes to Chicago, who needs him to fill the void from Adrian Amos on the cheap. And I think Chicago waited, and they said, you guys can spend all the money on those really expensive safeties, and maybe they work out, maybe they won't. We'll go with a nice little bargain for this. Landon's at 14, 13. These are safeties, guys, not quarterbacks. LaMarcus Joyner even, and then HaHa Clinton-Dix, who's played some great ball, way down. I love the value for the Bears. Those are my guys, Adrian and HaHa.
Mike, you strike me as a big value guy.
Oh, yeah. As just TJ. Well, never mind. Can't say that.
Is that a max contract?
I got a min contract, all right?
Incredible.
Patrick
Max
Mahomes.
contract.
You may have heard of him. Won the MVP. Paul Rudd, he was in here. He had the thing with all that
great.
stuff. What's the number this year on Patrick Mahomes? What do you think Patrick Mahomes is worth this year? You had to throw a number
If
on
he's
it.
worth
Tell me what Mike Trout is making.
So, yeah, $25 million.
How about $1.958 million
Incredible.
coming Patrick Mahomes' way this year? Now, he got that big signing bonus, so the average is higher, but he's got a $645,000 base value. And the shame of it all is he can't negotiate. You're not allowed to renegotiate the contract yet. That'll come next offseason. So you got to love yourself some Patrick Mahomes coming in at $1.958 million with that 645 base, 1.3 roster. That's it.
That's crazy.
Maybe some performance-based pay on top of that, and he better be high on that list. But it's
incredible.
So that is I'm taking the layup right there. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. And maybe just because it's timely, it was just on my brain. Yeah. How about Jabrill Peppers joining the Giants? Okay, and this was part of it for the Giants to know that they could get him. And he's under contract for a couple more years, including the 5th-year option. And they said, well, we could pay Landon Collins $11 million on the tag, or we can make this trade for Jabrill Peppers and get him in at a bargain rate this year of 1.405. Now, the Browns, remember I said Mahomes, the average is higher because of the signing bonus? Well, the Browns paid that signing bonus a couple of years ago. So the Giants, they're only on the hook for the 1.45 this season.
1.045?
1.405 for Jabrill Peppers.
I didn't even think about that.
Cash this season.
Nate makes 3 times that.
It's unbelievable, right? And Nate's a box safety. Jabrill is box. He can play outside the box.
He can return punts and kickoffs.
And that's the other half of this is, Cleveland would have loved to keep him, and there were some folks in the Browns building that were like, "Oh man,
not Jabrill,
because he could cover as a nickel, he can play he was almost kind of like 2 players in one to some folks there. So that's a good value for the Giants.
That's a great.
And we know how Gettleman feels about him. He felt he was a key piece to the Odell Beckham trade.
Yeah.